Have you ever considered if you are the red flag? We never do that, do we? But it's always worth considering if you are the red flag, if you are the toxic one. And I'm going to tell you why in today's video. Before we start, if you would like to work with me one-on-one, or if you would like to join any of my monthly group coaching sessions, click the link in description. I'm going to start this video with an example as usual, and this example is from my own life. So when I was trying to date in the last few years and I come across someone, I would go ahead and do this pros and cons list of this person. I know a lot of us have done this, right? We would start observing them, we would start analyzing them and see if they have any toxic behaviors. But we never really stopped to think if we have any toxic behaviors. And here's an example. Anytime this person does something or says something that doesn't align with me, I would pick fights with this person. And that was my red flag. Because why was I even picking fights? What was I even trying to achieve? I never stopped to question my own behavior of picking fights. It was just happening and I just did it. I never stopped to ask myself if this is a good behavior, if this is a red flag or a green flag. But it was a red flag. And I'll tell you why. I know a lot of you would pick fights as well. I know that's something common that a lot of people do. But here's the thing about picking fights. Just ask yourself, what are you even trying to achieve by picking fights? What are you even trying to obtain by picking fights with this person? Many times we pick fights because we want the other person to change a behavior about themselves. But here's something deeper. It's not that we want the other person to change a behavior, it's that we want to know if they would. We want to know that if I throw a tantrum, if I pick a fight, will this person give in and agree to change a behavior about themselves? Now, here's another added layer to it. Only an insecure person will try to change another person by picking fights and throwing tantrums. And only another insecure person will agree to change something about themselves just to keep this person in their life. So this is how insecure people feed off each other's energy. No change is going to happen. They're not going to really change anything about themselves, but they just agree to do it. And that's how they feed off their ego, they feed off their insecurity, because this person knows asking someone to change so that they can prove their love is wrong. Somewhere they know it's wrong, but they continue to do it because when the other person agrees for it, it satisfies something in them. And it's the same with the other person. This other person, they don't want to change certain behavior about themselves, but they will simply for the sake of it, they'll agree to do it. Because if they agree, the other person will either stop picking fights or the other person will continue to stay with this person. So again, it comes from their insecurity that they will just agree that, okay, I'll not do it, but they'll continue to do it. Like if you have seen toxic relationships, both of them will try to control each other by picking fights, by having a lot of drama, but inevitably they're not controlling each other at all. Like there's no change in behavior. They continue to do what they do. But when it comes to fights and drama, they just say that, okay, I'll not do it anymore. I'm sorry. You are important to me. They say all of these words. So it just feeds their insecurity. But in reality, it's not helping the relationship and they're not actually bringing any changes into their life. Now, don't get me wrong. Changing for the other person happens in healthy relationships too. Okay. But it doesn't happen this way. It doesn't happen in this insecure, feeding off each other's ego kind of way. It happens in a different way. Like they don't pick fights. They don't unreasonably ask the other person to change a behavior. Also, they don't put a condition that only if you change that behavior, I'm going to stay with you or I'm going to love you. Otherwise, I'm not going to stay with you. I'm going to leave. That condition is not there. So the change that happens in a healthy relationship, it doesn't happen because of this condition. It happens because of the love that they have for each other and they put the relationship first than their individual egos. So that's how they change for the other person. And they don't kind of force the other person. Like the change is not a forced change. And the changes are real. They take actual efforts to improve the relationship. But in an insecure relationship, that's not the case. Now, coming back to my scenario, I was picking fights because that is what I have done in my previous relationship. 5 years ago in my relationship. It was my long-term relationship. It was my only long-term relationship. And, it was a quite toxic relationship. I was insecure. The other person was insecure. And anytime I do something that he doesn't like and he does something that I didn't like, we would pick fights and there would be a lot of drama. And we would try to change each other. Change never happened. We would just say, for the sake of it, for the sake of the fight, that okay, I will not do it, I will do this, I'll do that. But change never happened, because that's not how you get to change a person. That's not how love works, right? You can't force change on someone. So this kept happening in my previous relationship, and that was a learned behavior from my end. I only knew that way of dealing with something. So when I come across someone new and I try to build a relationship with this person, I am starting to pick fights anytime there is something that goes wrong. I never really understood that was a red flag from my end. Now, again, another thing to note here is that the other person that I'm talking about, that person could be doing something wrong. I'm not saying that person is always right and I'm the wrong one. And for people watching this, I'm not saying that the person you're picking fights with is right and you are wrong. I'm not saying that. It doesn't matter what they did. Okay, whatever they did, whether it's good or bad, that's secondary. I'm only talking about your behavior. Like I've always said, detach their actions from your reactions and look into your reactions. And if you are picking fights, try and understand where that is coming from. Like for me, it came from my previous relationship, right? And picking fights is not helping me at this point. So when I reflected on this, I came to understand that it was a red flag from my end. It doesn't matter what the other person is doing. My reaction is still a red flag. Okay. This person, you put any other person in this place, my reaction is still a red flag. And I'm only asking you to look into that. It's not about the other person, it's about you. So when I came to realize this, I also started reflecting on other areas of my life, other things that I was doing, and I came to know that there are other toxic traits that I have adapted from this relationship as well. Like for example, my obsession with why. And I know a lot of you do this as well. Why did they do this? Why did they do that? Why did they say this? We start obsessing on the why, because we don't want to accept the situation for what it is. Because if we have to accept the situation for what it is, then we will have to see their behavior for what it is. Okay, this is what this person is, this is what they're doing, this is how they're treating me. Now, do I like this or not? Do I want to accept this or not? Right? Now, this doesn't work with me, then we have to come to a conclusion, or we have to make a choice that, okay, I can't continue with this person. And we have to make that difficult choice, and we have to move on and take accountability, which is difficult for a lot of people, going through stuff like wanting to be liked, difficult for people who are seeking validation, difficult for people who are constantly running behind love. It's really difficult for these people to make a choice like this, that okay, this is not working with this person, I'll probably have to make a choice and leave. So because we don't want to inevitably accept that part of making that choice and leaving, we try to understand the why behind their actions. Maybe if I understand why they did this, why they said this, why I was upset, and somewhere it somehow adds up to something, maybe I can be okay and continue to stay with this person. Maybe I can like adjust it, and maybe I can continue to kind of put up with it. That's why we continue to obsess with why. The obsession with why is simply our inability to accept the situation for what it is. And there were other toxic traits like self-sabotaging the relationship, like pushing someone away. Like we push people away to see if they would come back. We test them to see if they would stick around. But that's a toxic red flag. And like I said in my previous video, it only works on insecure people. When you push an insecure person away and you ask them to prove their love for you to continue to love them, they will do it. But it doesn't work on secure people. It doesn't work on emotionally healthy, stable people. They won't do that. They won't. If you push them, they'd go away. If you test them, they're not going to stand and prove themselves that they love you. So these are all self-sabotaging activities when it comes to relationship. And I came to know that there were a lot of these toxic traits that I had adapted from my past relationship. Now, I'm definitely not proud of my actions, but at the same time, I didn't know I had these behaviors, right? I didn't know that I had adapted these traits from my previous relationship. And that's why reflecting on our past experiences is so important. And that's something that I would definitely recommend you all to try reflecting on our past experiences and trying to understand what are all the behaviors that we could have adapted from that relationship. It's really important. I have never been in a healthy relationship. I've only been in relationships where people were toxic to me, but I was toxic to them as well. They didn't treat me well, yes, but I didn't treat them well too. I constantly picked fights. I adapted their behaviors. I engaged in the drama. I was feeding off that insecurity. If you control me, I control you. That's how I approached the relationship. I lacked my own boundaries. I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know how to leave when things got worse. We need to start taking accountability for the part that we played in our own suffering. That's the only way to take our lessons and move forward and to find a healthy relationship. If we don't do that, if we continue to stay in this narrative of they are the villain, I am the victim, they did this to me, then you're going to repeat the same cycle again, because you come across someone, it's their fault. They are doing something to you. You blame them, you never take accountability, and this cycle and this pattern is just going to repeat. And remember, you will always attract people that reinforces your beliefs. If you're seeking validation, you will not attract someone that validates you. You will attract someone with whom you can continue to seek validation. If you think you are not worthy of love, you will not attract someone that loves you. You will attract someone that runs away from you so you can continue to feel unloved. If you lack boundaries, you're going to attract someone who will take advantage of your lack of boundaries. You will always attract based on your beliefs. So that's why it's really important to look inward and to see if I have any bad traits, I have any red flags, I have any behavior that I need to improve, and then redo those behaviors and redo those beliefs. So, how do we do that? Start by taking accountability. That is the brutal lesson from this video. There is no one to blame. By blaming, you're not going to achieve anything. Blaming and healing doesn't go hand in hand. Only accountability will help you heal. So, start by taking accountability. Look at your life, look at your past experiences, reflect on them, take some time to understand what are the things that you did, what are the things that others did, how your behavior has contributed to your difficult situations that you faced. Write down those things and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What is a behavior that I need to change from all of this? And start implementing them in your life. Now, here's another simple practice that you can try. Anytime you come across a difficult situation, always question your actions, not the other person's actions. Like, why are they not texting me? Why am I waiting for their text? Why are they not giving me commitment? Why am I asking for commitment from someone who can't give it to me? Always question your actions. This brings the attention inward. You go from blame to accountability. You go from something that you can't control to something that you can control, which is your own actions. Once you start questioning your own actions and you start to see how you play a huge part in your own suffering, you will start to take accountability. You will start to change. And that is when you start attracting better relationships, better situations, better people, better opportunities, just a better life. And this is why it's always worth considering if you are the red flag. And with that, we are at the end of the video. If you like this video and if you would like to work with me one-on-one, click the link in description. I'll see you in another video. See you. Take care. Bye.